people who are 50 years old and never had any acting training and are on Broadway. So even those 17-year-olds, they were probably in dance class from the time they were 6 years old, 20 hours a week. So training is important. I'd say when it comes to choosing a university or going to school for musical theater,
do you think the Broadway is open to a lot of international singers, even they have different ethnics?
Yeah, I think, the Broadway theater scene is more diverse than it ever has been. And that's constantly evolving, and more, not just foreign actors, but just more diverse Americans are being showcased. And we're telling more diverse stories. For a long time, Broadway shows were about just kind of the same thing all the time, and we're telling more diverse stories. And with that comes a need for actors and performers from all walks of life, from all corners of the earth. And I think absolutely there's a place for everyone in the theater scene, whether that's in New York or in Kentucky or in Seoul or in London. There are a place for all of these different people's stories to be told. So yes, the answer is yeah. I think New York is very open right now, the most open it's been to international singers and performers coming in and contributing their talents and their unique points of view to the New York theater scene.
Because some Koreans and other people, other Asians, certainly think there is not a lot of opportunity for Asian musical actors and actresses to perform in Broadway. So what do you think of that opinion?
Yeah, it's certainly, that has been historically true. That is 100% been the case. There's been very few Asian stories told on Broadway, and I think that's changing. I think as more Asian voices and writers and producers are creating work and getting funding for their work, getting their shows produced, there is more opportunity for Asian actors, for South Pacific actors to come in and have roles. It is a challenge because we see fewer Asian actors on Broadway. The problem is way before that. The problem is we need to tell more stories that are specific to the South Korean experience, that are specific to the Japanese experience, that are specific to all these different cultural experiences. And when those shows have an opportunity to be produced, then Asian actors have the opportunity to perform. So we need, whenever you can create your own material, or if you, there's more room for different kinds of stories to be told. I think it's changing. We have a long way to go, but it's definitely top of mind here in New York City. How can we tell more diverse stories and incorporate, more people, more walks of life into the Broadway community?
That's great to hear. Oh, and I just want to ask you about some auditioning for musical theater acts. And there's some advices to avoid famous musical theater songs when auditioning for musical theater performances. And what do you think of that happens in Broadway?
Yeah, here in New York, it's, auditioning here in New York is a very specific skill set. It's different than auditioning anywhere else. So a good rule of thumb is if you want to perform professionally, and particularly in New York City, you want to avoid auditioning with material that's currently running on Broadway. Any show that's currently playing, avoid that material. Even if it closed a year or two ago, you just want to avoid that material because you don't want to be directly compared to whoever's currently singing it on Broadway, right? So I think there's so much material to choose from. Singers can certainly get creative about picking material. Yeah, you want to avoid some of the really big hits. Avoid anything from Wicked. Avoid anything from Phantom of the Opera. These massive musicals that everyone knows. Avoid anything from Hamilton. There's plenty of other material to choose from. Just get more creative about what you're picking to to bring into auditions.
What do you think, what is the most important factors that artists when they auditioning for musical theater act?
Well, I think a couple things. It is expected that you can sing well and act well. You know, it is expected that you have your voice in shape and can interpret a lyric and can perform. I'd say the ability to take direction is very important. In an audition setting, you might be in the room and auditioning for Mean Girls, and Casey Nicolau, the director, might ask you, can you try that again with this in mind? Or can you play the scene this way? And you have to be able to, in that moment, take the direction and try it a different way. So that's not if your technique, your acting, singing, or dancing technique is not very strong, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to make adjustments when you're auditioning. So the technique has to just be there. It has to be a given, right? We expect that to be in place. The other thing is then being able to take direction, be creative, make interesting choices, being able to really step into the world of the show, be able to fit the musical, be able to fit, the vibe, the feel, the era of whatever show it is that you're auditioning for.
What do you focus the most when you're teaching the students who wants to audition for a musical theater act?
Yeah, so I'd say from my perspective, I'm a vocal technique teacher and coach, right? So I'm coaching people how to put their voice together, find good technique, and then once we have good technique, style the voice in different ways. So, but I'd say that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? My job as a voice teacher is just that one part. And like I said, having your technique in place is just the first step. The next step is preparing, being in acting class, going to dance class, taking classes with directors and casting directors, getting feedback, being able to take adjustments, showing up to every audition, getting all of the experience that you can. So I'd say from my perspective, my job is just one piece of what it takes to prepare to audition for musical theater. The other thing too is something else that I focus on a lot with my students is building a good audition book, helping them pick songs that showcase them very well. That's actually something that I have an online course coming out about later this year, how to build an audition book and put together songs that are good for you. So that's kind of my role in an actor's process.
Do you have a very kind of important tip when choosing songs?
You just need to pick things that are a good fit for you and are a good fit for whatever roles you're auditioning for. I don't think it's necessary to have 20 songs in your audition book. I think it's necessary to have 3, 4, 5, or 6. You know, you're going to use the same material over and over again. You want to pick material that even on a bad day, you can sound good on, because you're going to wake up at 5 in the morning and go stand in the cold and wait in line, and you didn't have a chance to warm up, and you want to have songs that at any time you can do really well. So I think that's part of it. Really knowing what kind of energy and type you are and what roles you're right for can help inform the choices as well, what songs you should be bringing into the room.
Yeah, many students in Korea, sometimes they ask me if they should have to go to the university and major in musical theater to be Broadway actress or actor. Do you think it's true in reality?
In reality, no. You know, there are people on Broadway who never went to school. There are people on Broadway who graduated high school early and are on Broadway. There are people who are 50 years old and never had any acting training and are on Broadway. So is it necessary? No. However, good training is necessary. I'd say even if someone didn't go to university for musical theater, they probably were in private classes for years and years and worked on their craft for years and years. Even those 17-year-olds, they were probably in dance class from the time they were 6 years old, 20 hours a week. So training is important. I'd say when it comes to choosing a university or going to school for musical theater, it's very expensive. These schools are very expensive, and you need to feel confident that whatever training you're doing, whatever school you go to, is the right fit for you. Is it going to help you reach your goals? Do they have an industry showcase at the end? That's not necessary, but it is nice to be able to go to a program that will connect you with people in your industry, right? And also, do you want to major in vocal performance or musical theater? Vocal performance in the United States is largely classical music, and a lot of people go that route, but still want to do musical theater. And they find that their 4 years in a classical music program isn't helpful when they move to New York and want to be on Broadway, so you have to make the right choice for you and what your goals are, especially because it's so expensive. You don't want to waste your time and your money on something that is not going to help you reach your goals.
There's many students who prepare to be musical theater performer in Korea. Would you give some advice to them?
I think the best advice I can give to anyone, anywhere in the world who wants to do musical theater, either professionally or non-professionally, is train, prepare. Sometimes with singing, we think, oh, I'm talented, it'll just work out. No, we have to be in lessons. You have to go to class. You have to practice. The more you can invest in your training, the better. I'd also say get performance experience, even if it's performing at your community theater or performing at your church or performing at your high school. Get practical experience doing the thing. And that is also part of your training, is having those smaller performance experiences that will lead you then to bigger opportunities.
Okay, so we noticed we took your time a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure. This is my pleasure, you guys.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Lastly, could you give some advices and last words to the students and in Korea or internationally who wants to be musical theater actor and actresses in Broadway and all over the world?
Yeah, I would say, again, my best advice is to take the time to prepare your instrument, your voice, your body to perform at its very best. When you start a career in theater or when your schedule gets really busy, it is more difficult to put the time in to the training that you really need in order to sustain a career. Musical theater is so demanding on your voice and your body. People here on Broadway are performing 8 times a week. It's so tiring, so you really want to prepare your voice and your body to sustain that kind of a career. So I would say prepare, find a great voice teacher who can help you reach your goals. Every performer needs a team around them to support them, and a voice teacher is a crucial part of that team. They can help put your technique in place. They can help you learn new music. They can help guide you through your career and help you make decisions about those kinds of things. So prepare, and have a good team of people that support you. You cannot do it alone, so don't try. That would be my advice.
And challenge, right?
Yes, exactly. Challenge. Go, prepare, spend the time, invest in yourself, invest in your talent, invest in these skills, and you'll see the benefits.